Kathy said I'm the executive director of Mary and Martha House. Mary and Martha House, obviously, we are a 501c3 nonprofit that provides shelter and support services to women and their children who are victims of domestic violence and or homelessness. We do have a presentation that we've cooked up. Our mission statement changed a couple years ago just to fully encompass, because we were growing as a program and we wanted to encompass a lot of the new programs that we were going through. I'm not going to read it, it's very long. If you think it's quite a good mission statement, mission statement, I'll take full credit. If you don't like it, I did it, so don't yell at me. It's just how we do nowadays, huh? So we have a really good partnership with HCC South Shore, just down the street. In 1983, they realized that there was more of a need down here in South County, specifically in the migrant communities. So they sold the house in Tampa, set up shop here in Ruskin, and we've been here ever since. I don't have a lot of history to share with you because there's not a lot of information. Up until the mid-90s, the only way you knew about Mary and Martha House is if you were part of the organization or you were a participant in the shelter. It was absolutely quiet. There was no marketing. There was no me coming out and doing presentations. There was no talk of such Mary and Martha House. But what little information we do have, we know we got our 501c3 in 1987. So just 5 years afterwards. And then a few years after that, we opened up our first thrift store, which most of you know now is located where the office is. For those of you who have been around and followed us over the years, you know that the thrift store has bounced around to many different places here in Ruskin. And at one point we had 2 different locations. One was a thrift store, one was a boutique store. So we were able to, our last location, which was down on 1st Street on the south side, we had an office and then we had a thrift store behind there. And it was okay, wasn't anything flashy, but it became very flood prone to the point where a heavy rain and water's coming in the front door. So it was necessary that we had to get out of that location, and nice enough that we could combine both thrift stores back together again at the location we're at now. In 2009, we hosted our first fashion show. I've been to a couple of these and they crack me up every time because everyone gets so excited. For those of you who have shopped at our thrift store, you know that we don't take junk from people. We only accept the good stuff. And I'll explain why when we get a little further into the presentation. But the fashion show is just full of excitement. So ladies will come in, such as women's groups like yourself. They'll come in, they'll pick out a couple outfits, and then they will walk the catwalk at the fashion show. And then we would bring racks and racks of clothes for people to purchase while we were there as well. Always a good time. In 2017, we hosted our first gala, and this was a significant event in my life because this led me to join the board of directors in 2018. Previous to this, for those of you who remember Lori Herring, she hounded me for 2 years to be on the board of directors, and the first time she asked me, I said, "What is that?" I had no idea what board of directors was. I was a young little pissant working in hospitality at Little Harbor down the street. For those of you who know Little Harbor, up until they sold, I managed the hotels there. And so it was 2018 when I finally joined the board of directors, and then was thrusted into a whirlwind because 2019 became a big year for us. That was the year that we moved over to our, I don't even know which way, I think it's that way. I keep pointing over there and I was like, that's just
true.
woods. And MacArthur is over there somewhere, isn't he?
Matt,
Yeah, Matt Miller, yeah. So we moved over to that location, and I tell you, I mean, I was in decent shape at the time, but our building's the same as yours, 3 stories? No, come on. Lugging all these boxes up. Thankfully, out of nowhere, AMI kids came to help us. And they came through the front door And I'll tell you, this is the story in my mind. The music was playing, Hallelujah, and then the Dubs came, and then they were singing on the sides, and they were just walking in like this, and I was like, yes, thank you. And those kids were up and down and up and down. I was like, you guys are doing great. But we also started construction on our, reconstruction on our emergency shelter. So we had, at this time, we had 3 shelter locations. And it was the first one, that first house that we had in Ruskin, was getting old, needed some work, but it was on a large piece of property as well. So Lori really campaigned hard to create a new building, a much larger one. And with some help from folks in the county, that was able to come true. So we started construction in 2019. This was taking it from a 3-bedroom shelter to a 17-bedroom shelter with full kitchen, living area, dining room, my favorite, the laundry room. And I know that sounds weird because I'm a guy talking about how cool a laundry room is, but I remember a time when I did not have access to a laundry room in the house, right? And you have to go down to the laundromat. What a pain in the butt that was. And especially if you got a little one tagging along with you that doesn't want to listen and doesn't want to sit, because laundry takes a while. That is my favorite part, is that they have laundry services there. They don't have to go to a laundromat to do that. And then, like I said, 2019, moving the office was great. So in 2021, we were able to open our shelter finally in April of 2021. We started construction in 2019. We finished construction in October of 2020. I don't know if you guys remember, though, there was this little thing called COVID. All of our appliances were still stuck on a freighter out in California somewhere, and we could not get our certificate of occupancy until those appliances were installed. That's why it took until April of 2021. Here we go. 2021 took a turn for the worse that year. I got a call from our board president sometime in December. By this time, Lori had been hospitalized with COVID for eight or 9 weeks. It was a steady decline. Lori be the first one to tell you that no one person is bigger than our mission. And they lived that. And by doing that, they carried on her legacy. I fell in love with the staff. I've always had a heart for the mission. I grew up in a house full of domestic violence. And it wasn't until I actually got in this job that I realized I had been abused by my mother ever since I could remember. And out of the military for a little while, I was living in my car, so I was homeless. So I have a connection to both of our main purposes in Mary and Martha House. And then I fell in love with the staff, and it was all over for me. Within that first year that I was there, taking a look at the program that we had, decided to re-engineer the program that we have and reinvigorate it. We named it Break the Cycle. And the idea behind that name is that domestic violence and homelessness does travel in cycles. It could be a personal cycle, but it could also be a generational cycle. Mm-hmm. Listening to the stories of the ladies who were in shelter and then coming into shelter, it wasn't repetitive, but there were certain actions or information that they didn't get when they were younger that would have prevented them from this, that would have prevented them from this, and that domino effect. So we found 5 areas that we felt covered all the stories of the ladies who were coming into the shelter. And we created 5 classes out of those, which I'll get to, I think, on the next slide. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Today, we operate 2 shelters. We have 20 bedrooms between the 2, 56 bed capacity. Just like every shelter that's out there these days, we stay at max capacity all the time. But I am very proud of the 20 rooms, and each family gets their own room. They do not share. We do not bunk families together. There is nothing worse, in my mind, coming home after a long day of work, getting the kids, getting them situated, getting calmed down, to then have to turn around and deal with somebody else's kids and somebody else's problems. they have their own space to go to at night. So Break the Cycle program, we started out with the first 5 there. Those 2 on the left are the most important ones in my eyes: financial literacy and female empowerment. The number one reason why a victim will go back to their abuser is because of financial reasons. All right, I equate it to people and let them know. Go back in your mind when you were 18 years old, you get home after graduation and your parents already have a bag packed for you and say, cool, here you go, see you later. If it was me, I would have been super happy about that, right? But then, a few hours later, tummy starts rumbling, I'm getting a little hungry, I don't have any money, I can't buy food, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go back home. That's where I know it's safe, that's where at least I know there's food. So financial literacy is huge for these ladies. Some of them have no idea what a budget is, some of them don't have any idea what good spending habits are or what bad spending habits are. So we're able to teach, nobody's taught them. You don't know what you haven't been taught. So we're able to give them instructions, set them up with a budget. We partner with Fifth Third Bank on that, and they come in every other week, and it's a 4-part series, and they're taught everything from basic credit debit to basic checking and savings accounts to setting up your budget and rebuilding your credit. So that's a huge one. The other one is female empowerment. Sad to say, but it's true. If you're told over and over and over again, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, no one will ever love you except me, as silly as it is for somebody who is not in that, when we hear that every single day, you start to believe it, okay? And it becomes true. So female empowerment has been engineered to do a complete 180 on that. You are good enough, you are smart enough, you are pretty enough, you can handle this, go kick some ass. So we want them to know their worth and to understand that they can it's powerful. Spiritual guidance, I'll get back to parenting. Spiritual guidance and nutritional guidance, we partner with spiritual guidance is actually ran by one of our board members. She comes in once a month, and it's kind of a women's prayer group. Nutritional guidance, we have a lady from my mama. She is a nutritionist. She comes in, will not only show them healthy eating habits, but also how to meal plan, because it saves money. We know how expensive groceries are nowadays. You can't walk out of even McDonald's now without spending $15 for one person. So let's take that $15. Let's buy some peppers. Let's buy some onions. Let's buy some chicken. Let's sheet pan that, cook it, and then we have lunch for the next 3 days because you made that much. Parenting. As I explained earlier, I am a man, and I did not think this one through. Originally, the class was called Parenting Skills, okay? We noticed that a lot of the moms had problems parenting, had problems connecting with their children, okay? There were unruly children, to say the least. It's fun when you don't have to take them home, but I'm sure it's not fun for the mom. So we decided we wanted to make a parenting class. Well, imagine what happened when I told a group of 20 women I was going to help them parent their kids. That was a stark reminder that sometimes I need to invite other people into the room to get input. So that one sat dormant for a little bit. Thank you. Until we came up with the idea to change it to parenting children with trauma. Okay, the children develop trauma just like the ladies do, and it doesn't come out right away. Right, it's going to take some time. It takes time to manifest, and it'll come out eventually. But a lot of times when it comes out, it just comes out as, "Why are you being so bad? Why are you being like this? Why are you so unruly?" When we don't think about, that's the trauma coming out. So instead of mom and daughter getting into one of those classic mom and daughter pissing contests for years on end, she might not be a bad kid. She's acting out for a reason. That trauma is coming out. So this class is now going to arm them with the knowledge and also the tools on how to combat that trauma when it does start to come out, because now they have an understanding. It's not coming from them, It's just coming out of them. And then the employment readiness is sixth one that we added last year. We have a wonderful lady who has worked on both sides of the HR desk, and now she is helping our ladies learn good interviewing skills, how to dress for an interview, resume building, what jobs to look for, what scams to avoid, and also some tricks on the resume. So she's recently out of it, works for a lot of IT tech firms in the HR department. And I don't know how many people, I don't know how many of you know this, but every time I say this, I get a few gasps. So she told me that for resumes, and feel free to pass this information along, it has been verified by multiple people, because I didn't believe her at first. If you have your resume, typically on white paper or cream paper, some soft background with black text, right? If you do it on a white background, you just print it on a regular cardstock. On the bottom of the Word document, there's always keywords that these employers are looking out for, depending on what the position is. If you go down to the bottom of the page and you just start typing in keywords, type in every single keyword that you think would apply to that job, skills that they may be looking for, and then highlight everything and change the color to white to match the background, print it out. Companies don't read resumes until it goes through AI. And AI will pick up on those texts even though they are in white font on white paper.
Interesting.
Yes. And I didn't believe it at first. I was like, that sounds like witchcraft. But I verified with a few other employers for larger companies, and they said the same thing. They said, think about it, some of these companies, they're getting 500 resumes for one position. Nobody has time to go through all that, right? Not in this world, not in this pace. So they put it through AI first, and they say, pick out the best 10 that we have here on these parameters. Look for these keywords, look for this information. And sure enough, it'll be on that top 10. So if you have any friends or any children that are looking to move careers, positions, give them that little tidbit. It might help them with the
Interesting.
information. So impact. 2025, last year, we served over 16,000 bed nights. We had a 92% success rate with our program, and what success for us is that we have someone who comes into shelter, either homeless or in a domestic violence situation. They come in, they work the program, they graduate the program, they move into their own housing, they're independent, okay? That's success for us. They don't go back to the abuser, and they don't go back to the streets or living
It's all
in their
included in the video.
So 92% of the ladies that came through our program last year were able to do that successfully. We served 165 clients. In 2024, we served just over 200. That number went down in 2025 because Helene in 2024 wiped out our smaller shelter. We had to refurb the whole thing. So that was 3 families every night that we weren't able to serve. We finally opened up that shelter on May 14th. I remember still putting plates and bowls in the cupboards as families were moving in. And we were ahead of schedule, which I was happy about. But unfortunately, between October and May, we missed a lot. So that number went down significantly because of that. But our volunteer hours increased tremendously. In 2024, we had just over 4,000 hours, but last year, over 5,100 volunteer hours to help us achieve our mission. I'll get to that in the other, well, here it is. So ways you can support our mission. If everybody wants to just get their checkbooks out. So, card? Yes, I will. So obviously monetary donations, nonprofit is still a business. We still have to keep things running. Shelter is a huge overhead. As you can imagine, you guys know, you have houses, you know how expensive it is. But my most important one is that second one there, creating awareness. That's the biggest way that you can help us. Maybe even 15 years ago, people don't talk about domestic. So creating awareness, letting people understand that abusers are very, very cunning, very crafty. Most of the time, they're very charming. We just had a board member finally realize that she was in an abusive relationship for the past 10 years. But she emailed me yesterday about it. She's getting ready, she's making moves, she's doing a lot of good stuff for herself. And she says to me, I think back to that day when you gave your presentation at the Riverview Women's Club. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, that was the first day I realized I needed to get out because of the presentation that you gave. Whew! That one hit. It's nice to know that we are, I know we do good stuff. Sometimes it's nice to get that validation that we did help somebody get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Also letting people know who Mary and Martha House is. I'm very proud of this. No matter who calls our intake line, they will not get off the phone until they get some sort of resource. We get men that call us, obviously, and I don't know why. Perhaps there are
women that abuse men.
There are,
Yeah.
but we're a women's shelter strictly, right?
Yeah.
And they may not know that. There is one of the jails in Pinellas County has us on the list of men's resources for the men that are getting out of incarceration, and they keep calling us. And they're like, we need to get them to change it. I'm like, hold on, guy needs help, okay? Let's not judge. So let's find some men resources. So we did, and we started to put a list together. So when men do call, we have a list of resources for them. As I said, we stay 100% full in our shelter for eternity, it seems. But you're not gonna get off the foot. It's not sorry, we don't have any room. No, not at all. Before we get off the phone, we do a full intake with them. We put them on our wait list, and then we send them two attachments to their email. First one is additional resources. There's other shelters other than us, so we give them all that information. We tell them who to call, what the intake line is, any websites, food, Echo. For DV victims, there's hope for her and Brandon. So we give them every resource that we can. And then we also send them a safety plan instruction, and it helps them keep themselves safe if they are still living with that abuser, or if they are living in their car or living on the street, ways that they can be safe to make sure that when we have that room open, they're still there so that we can call them. Thrift store donations. So going back to the thrift store donations, we only take the good stuff, right? We don't accept electronics. We don't accept mattresses unless they're brand new, it's still in the plastic. We also don't accept used linen or terry towels. We will accept brand new, okay? For everything else, we will accept if it's gently used. Everyone has a different opinion of what gently used is. So I'd say it like this. If you can't sell it online or you wouldn't give it to your best friend, take it to Goodwill, okay? We only want the good stuff, and here's why. Our thrift store doubles as one big closet for our ladies, okay? We do have women that come into our shelter with literally nothing but the Shirelle in their back. Been there, seen it many times. So we let them go through the store, pick out clothes, pick out shoes, they pick out jewelry, they pick out purses. And so whatever they need to survive while they're with us is theirs. And then when they're getting ready to leave, we take them back through the store, okay? For those of you who have been there before, you know we do more than just clothes. We have housewares, we have furniture, we have decor. They go through the store with a bunch of sold signs and put it on whatever they want to take with them to their new apartment or their new house. It could be a couch, table, chairs, kitchen table, dining room table, household items, coffee maker, blender, whatever they want, it's theirs. So that's why I ask for only the good stuff, because one, it is being sold. We want to make sure that we're generating good revenue for the mission, but also this stuff's going to ladies that we've become very good friends with and we want to see succeed, and I don't want to give them trash. I want to give them good stuff. Shelter supplies. This is a huge one for us. Imagine how much toilet paper you guys go through in your home, okay? Now times that by 20, okay? Now also include little Timmy, who just loves running up to the toilet paper roll and just doing this to it and then shoving it in the toilet, okay? We go through a lot of toilet paper, we go through a lot of paper towels, we go through a lot of napkins, paper plates, and things of that nature. Cleaning supplies, those are huge for us. So if at any time you're like, I want to donate to Mary and Martha House, and you forget everything about this, TP and paper towels. I will take it any day of the week. I will store it in my house if I have to, because it does go quickly. Another big thing that we're asking for just recently, over half of the ladies that we have in shelter right now don't have personal transportation, so they're relying on the buses to get to and from work, daycare. For those of you who live in the area, you know the buses suck. Sorry if someone works for transportation, but it's not a lot, right? Bus stop just down here, Shell Point, and then we have one across the street at the well, I don't know if it's still going to be a Chevron anymore. And so there's a couple bus stops around, but they only run once an hour, and they only run from 7A to 6P, I think. And I'll give you an example. We have a lady who's going for her GED after hours. She can take the bus to Leonard High School for the class, but when the class lets out at 9 o'clock, there's no more busing. So she takes an Uber, okay? So one of the big things we're asking for is Uber and Lyft cards, gift cards. We can add to our account. We also use Uber and Lyft to get clients to our office. If they're homeless and we have a spot open for them and they don't have any transportation, instead of having to worry about the bus, we set up an Uber for them. It goes, picks them up and drops them off, and we take care of it. Volunteering. Kathy wanted me to make sure I hit this one hard. And the saying, when it comes to the volunteers, I say all the time, we couldn't do it without them. And I hate how cliche that sounds, because it does sound cliche, but it is absolutely 1000% true. And I mean it wholeheartedly. We have a very small staff, 11, including myself, paid staff members. We have over 40 volunteers. We could not do what we do without the volunteers. So we do take that seriously. We do take it to heart. We have options, clerical options up at the front desk, answering phones, greeting people as they come in. And then we also have opportunities in the store and the donation area. We are back to 100% on the board, so we don't have any positions open for that, but we're always looking for folks that want to help out with events and stuff, and that may be something that we work into coordinating for a project. Shopping hours, Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 4, and then Saturday, 9 to 1. The donation drop-offs are a little shorter, Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 1, and then Saturday from 9 to noon. Tuesday is our bag sale day, so the Publix plastic bags, as much apparel as you can fit in that bag, it's only $15, which is a really good deal because you can fit a lot of stuff in those bags. Wednesday is furniture day, so 20% off of any furniture, and it's really cool if you go once a week, because Kathy will tell you, every time she comes in, it's like a whole new store, because we sell and we move things in, and so there's different stuff there on a weekly basis. Thursday is our overstock day. Whatever we have a lot of, we need to get rid of, so we mark it down 50% off. And then on Friday, bag sale day, 2 for 1, okay? Same deal as Tuesday, but now you get 2 bags. I have a gentleman that I used to work with at the resort who comes in maybe every other Friday. He'll come in for the bag sale and he'll buy 2 sets. So $30, he walks away with 30 bags. And every time I see him, I go say hi. And one day he just had a bunch of kids' clothes. And I'm like, Renee, how many kids do you have? And he goes, I don't have any kids. He said, these aren't for me. He goes, I take them back to my street. He goes, there's a lot of kids that don't have clothes, their parents can't afford clothes. He says, so I buy these and I take them back home. And he gives them out to the families.
Nice.
Love that guy. And then Saturday is mystery discount day. You actually pick your discount. And when I say pick your discount, no, you can't just come in and say, I pick 100%. No. You actually reach into a fishbowl and you pick out your discount. But it does range anywhere from 10% to, I want to say there's a 60% in there. So it's kind of fun, kind of a little bit of gambling, rolling the dice there, see what your discount is. We do furniture donation pickups. I'm sure you guys have seen this truck rolling around. If you have something large like a couch, I don't expect you to shove it into your Honda Civic and drive it down to us, so we will get you on the schedule. We're typically scheduling 2 to 3 weeks out. So if it's something you need done right away, like today or tomorrow, we would probably tell you to reach out to St. Vincent de Paul or Salvation Army, because they're usually pretty quick. But if you can hold on to it and wait a little bit, we will put you on the schedule and get that picked up for you. Last year we started a podcast called Break That Cycle, and a lot of the stories that we had been talking about that formed Break the Cycle program, they're topics on this podcast. So I bring in somebody with lived experience. Right now, there's an episode out with a psychiatrist, and we have a wonderful discussion about anxiety and depression and how your culture and upbringing affects how you perceive and receive anxiety and depression and the outputs of it as well. So really interesting episode there. Anybody on social media? Regrettably, right? But we are on most of these, Facebook, Instagram. I think that's a Google Business or Google House. I don't know. And then Yelp. I didn't realize Yelp was still a thing, but we're on that. We're also on LinkedIn as well, so you can follow us there. And that is the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions?
How long are they allowed to stay in your facility?
As long as they're following the program, as long as they need. The program is built to be a between a 90 and a 120 day program. Okay, but life gets in the way. Life, as someone told me the other week, life is just lifing, and then it's just. I can tell you, last year our average length of stay was 112 days. Yes, I am a nerd. I built a spreadsheet for that. But here's the thing: is that we had a lady come down from Alaska. Yes, Alaska. She drove all the way down from Alaska, and I remember seeing her on day one. And I said, "You're the lady from Alaska," and she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "How did you get to Ruskin?" She goes, "In all honesty, I opened up a map and I picked the furthest place away from him." That's how she found us. She was only here for 60 days. She just needed time to think and then to act without somebody constantly telling her she can't do it, she's stupid, she da-da-da-da-da. That's all she needed was 60 days. And she was out, had her own place, doing great. We had a lady last year with us for a little over 350 days, okay? So a little over a year. She took a little longer to get on board with the program. She was very skeptical at first. You have to remember these ladies that are coming in, trust issues, poof, come on now, right? After everything they've been through. So it was very hard for her to get on board. But then she did eventually, after about 3 or 4 months, and we're like, hey, and then she's like, okay, fine. So then she's regrettably or begrudgingly starts following the program, and then it starts clicking. She's like, oh wait, this is good, yeah. And so she kept going. And then another 3-4 months later, she had enough saved up. She had an apartment lined up. She was doing great. Was on her way back from seeing this wonderful apartment. Engine in her car blows.
Oh dear.
The engine in her car blows up. So she needs a new car now. She has enough saved up for this. And I remember having the conversation. This was a tough one. She said, can you help with the car? And I said, no. And she goes, well, why not? I said, well, you have enough money to saved up. You can get yourself another car. And she goes, but yeah, it's a lot of money. I said, I understand that. I said, but understand this isn't going to be the first time this is going to happen to you. I said, emergencies are going to happen. Things are going to happen. Nobody's going to be there to save you. You have to do it yourself. She was a little pissy. She understood. And she got right back to work. Another 6 months later, she moved out because she had saved up enough money and was able to move out. So life. It happens. It does vary. But short answer, like I said, long-winded. Short answer, last year was 112 days was our average.
Do you have any of your residents victims of sexual trafficking or sexual abuse? Do you take those women in as well?
We do, and if we so last year we joined a program called Bright. It's a platform from USF and the TIP Lab over in on the St. Pete campus, and they are specifically a statewide network that connects resources for victims of human trafficking. Okay, and there's tons of different types of human trafficking, and sex trafficking does fall into that. And there's connections all over the state. So with that, we included the 4 questions that makes them eligible for that platform. We included that on our intake form now. And I would say probably about half of the intake forms that we're getting, they're answering yes to at least one of the questions. Human trafficking and domestic violence, they're different things, but many, many parallels between the 2 types of victims and what they endure. And so it is not abnormal to see the crossover between those. But if we can deduce that they have been a victim of human trafficking, it increases our reach for them. We may never even see them in shelter. When we get off the phone with them, we send the information into this database that will connect them again statewide, whether they're looking for shelter, looking for a car, looking for legal advice, looking for whatever. They could be living in Pasco County and have a lawyer in Jacksonville, like that. So we do see the crossover a lot, yeah.
This was terrific.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yes. Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate it.